Isang Pinoy scientist ang nag-aaral ng mga coronaviruses sa mga paniki upang matuklasan kung saan posibleng magkaroon ng coronavirus infection sa Pilipinas. Kilalanin natin si Professor Phillip Alviola, ang tinaguriang Batman ng University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Habang abala ang ibang siyentipiko sa pag-aaral kung paano malalabanan ang COVID-19, mayroon namang ilan na pinag-aaralan kung paano maiiwasan ang posibleng susunod na coronavirus pandemic. Sila ang mga researchers mula sa University of the Philippines of Los Baños na kung tawagin ay virus hunters. At ang isa sa kanila ay ang zoologist na si Professor Phillip Alviola.
Actually po, ang inaaral po namin sa project namin on bat viruses is not specifically on COVID-19 but on coronaviruses that are found in bats. Although there are evidences or reports na yung COVID-19 has its nearest relative sa isang bat from South China, hindi pa rin siya yung talagang definitive na it's COVID-19 that are found in bats. So posibleng doon nagsimula. And of course, scientists are still looking for direct link between the bats and the humans through COVID-19. Pero ito sa ginagawa namin on our research on coronavirus on bats. So gagawin namin is we'll set up a simulation model to predict saan dito sa Pilipinas ang posibleng magkaroon ng next coronavirus infection to humans. So it doesn't mean it has to be a COVID-19, but other forms or other strains of coronavirus. So yun yung research namin ngayon.
Hindi na bago kina Professor Phillip ang pag-aaral ng coronavirus mula sa mga paniki. Taong 2007 pa nang umpisahan nila ang pag-aaral na ito at hindi lamang coronavirus ang natuklasan nila mula sa mga paniki sa Pilipinas.
We've been doing this research since 2007. So marami na rin kaming mga viruses na nakita sa paniki. So of course, coronaviruses. Dito sa Luzon Island, meron kami nakita at least 4 or 5 na klase ng coronaviruses. Marami kaming fieldwork na ginawa actually within NCR sa UP Diliman, sa Parks and Wildlife. So may mga nakita kami mga coronaviruses doon. In different parts of Luzon, sa Mindanao, so marami din. And then nakakita rin kami ng Reston Ebola virus. So kamag-anak siya ng mga Ebola virus that's been found in Africa. Pero ito na nakikita sa mga pigs and monkeys, and then nakita namin sa paniki. So meron din kami tinitingnan ano tawag dito? Nipah virus. If you have probably heard of Nipah virus, kasama siya sa WHO top 10 list of viruses that has pandemic potential. And ang fatality rate niya would range up to 40% to 75% fatality rate. So nakikita rin ito sa mga paniki, that's mga fruit-eating bats. And we probably might have heard of this back in 2014 sa Sultan Kudarat. So nagkaroon na ng outbreak. So out of the 17 people na nagkasakit, I think 9 or 10 people ang namatay because of this Nipah virus. And Nipah virus has been seasonal ang nangyayari sa kanya, yung infection in other countries in Southeast Asia and even in India. So yeah, so we're also looking into that. So baka hindi lang definitely sa Mindanao, baka meron din sa Luzon, sa Visayas, and Palawan as well. So yun, may mga iba't iba rin kami mga viruses na tinitingnan.
Maraming datos ang pag-aaralan ni na Professor Phillip upang matukoy kung saang lugar sa Pilipinas posibleng magkaroon ng susunod na coronavirus infection na maaaring magmula sa mga paniki.
So ang balak namin is parang gagawa kami ng parang mapa, na parang hazard map, siguro color-coded. Let's say red, a red color would mean high likelihood or high probability of coronavirus infection, mga ganun. green would be very low. So parang gano'n, may parang color map ka for the whole Philippines. So to determine, to predict kailan saan yung lugar na merong potential na mataas na coronavirus infection. So we will be using several kinds of data for this. So una-una yung datos namin from the virus itself, from the coronavirus. So titingnan namin yung mga coronavirus sa mga panike. How is it related or how near is its morphology dun sa mga coronavirus na capable of infecting humans? So for example, yung coronavirus dito, let's say sa mga makiling, i-compare namin yung itsura niya, yung spike protein, what have you, i-compare namin siya kung how close is it to COVID-19 or yung other variants. So doon namin malalaman if it's close enough, so mataas din yung potential niya to infect mga humans. So we're going to do that all over the Philippines, most parts of the Philippines. And then we will be using other forms of data as well, gaya na anong klase ng panike ang meron, or does temperature affects yung presence ng coronavirus, vegetation, kung let's say kung mas konti yung gubat, mas mataas ba yung incidence ng bilang ng coronavirus sa bats. Mga ganun tipo na we're trying to connect yung mga possible reasons why this kind of infection ng coronavirus exists. Does it relate to temperature, climate change, or habitat destruction and what have you, or lagi ba siyang hunting? So yung mga ganung factors. So we're trying to look into that.
Sa kasalukuyan, inaayos na ni Professor Phillip ang pagpapadala ng mga nakuha nilang swab samples papunta sa ibang bansa para sa genetic sequencing.
So sa ngayon, collections pa lang ng mga swab samples. So ginagawa namin kasi, manghuhuli kami ng mga panike dito sa Mount Makiling sa UP Los Baños sa campus. So i-swab namin siya sa bibig, tapos sa may bandang sa anal region. So swab namin, lalagay namin sa isang reagent, and then ang ideally is papadala namin sa Japan for molecular sequencing. So titingnan kung may mga coronavirus pa. So sa ngayon, dahil of course of the guidelines, travel restrictions, so medyo tigil pa muna yung pagpapadala. So what I'm trying to do is try to to process all the paperwork para ma-ship yung ating mga samples papunta sa Japan to analyze. So far, it's more of a collection. Marami na kami na-collect ng mga swabs, mga close to 300 swabs na yata ang mga na-collecta namin. So different species ng mga panike, including yung isang klase ng panike na pareho ng genus na nakita sa China na merong pinakamalapit na coronavirus sa COVID-19. So, meron din kami mga nahuling halos pareho ng genus dito sa Pilipinas as well.
Bago pa man nakilala bilang virus hunter si Phillip Alviola, ay tinagurian na siyang Batman ng UPLB dahil sa kanyang ginagawang pag-aaral tungkol sa mga paniki na nagsimula pa noong 1997 nang matapos niya ang kursong Bachelor of Science in Zoology sa University of the Philippines, Los Baños.
I've been studying bats after graduation ng college. So that was back in umini ko ba edad 1997. So it's been 24 years now. So since I've been studying. So I had my first publication on mammals and bats in 1998. After that, nagpunta kami sa mga expeditions sa, let's say for example, sa Pulilio Island, where I spent about 4 months studying on bats in different parts of Luzon like Sierra Madre, Cordillera. So nanguhuli din kami ng mga panike. And then we've been recording mga new records for the country.
Pero paano ka nagkaroon ng interest? Paano nagsimula yung hilig mo sa pag-aaral tungkol sa mga paniki?
Opo. Kasi simula nung college, kasi ang tatay ko kasi isang professor din, wildlife biologist din yung tatay ko dito rin sa UP Los Baños. So sinasama niya ako sa mga fieldwork. And then of course, yung kanyang original plan for me was to take up medicine, and the usual, kaya nagte-take ng bio. And then one time sinama niya ako sa fieldwork. And then after no fieldwork, tuwan-tuwa na ako sa mga wild animals. So I decided na hindi na ako magme-med. So kasalanan ng tatay ko. Especially kung bakit God rest his soul. So kasalanan niya kung bakit hindi ako na. Then of course, naging volunteers ako ng mga scientists, mga international scientists here coming here in the Philippines, mga nag-aaral. And then two of those scientists happened to be mammalogists that were studying on bats. So this was a few months before my graduation. So doon na, okay palang manghuli ng paniki. Kasi and then wala rin namang din ganong nag-aaral, masyado. One or two persons na nag-aaral pa lang nung panahon na yun, mga mid-90s. So, so I decided to study bats then. And then of course, I foresee na medyo kokonti pala yung niche about mga tao na nag-aaral doon. So, this would be a very nice niche for me to grow professionally, academically. So yun yung reason, and then there was no stopping from there. So yeah, and meron din naman benepisyo na naidulot sa akin. Of course, I'm employed. I'm in a university, so I'm teaching about wildlife biology. So yeah, and then nagkaroon ng mga awards konti because of that. Yeah. So.
Dahil sa kanyang mga pag-aaral, nagkamit ng maraming karangalan si Professor Phillip. Noong 2017, ginawaran siya ng Outstanding Young Scientist Award ng National Academy of Science and Technology Philippines. At noong 2018 ay napabilang siya sa top 100 Asian scientists. Sa halos 2 dekada niyang pag-aaral sa mga paniki at sa dami ng scientific papers na kanyang naisulat, may mga tumatawag na sa kanya bilang Batman ng Los Baños, Laguna.
Pero aware ka ba na may tumatawag sa'yo na Batman? Kailan ba nag-start itong tinagurian ng Batman?
Well, I started just with friends. Mga lokohan lang naman. I am Batman and Ruben. Mga ganong lokohan lang naman. And then, because they know full well that I studied bats and then during that time. But it all started back in 2017, recently lang, because DOST tapos National Academy of Science and Technology, I was one of the awardees, yung Outstanding Young Scientist. And then doon sa front page ng website ng DOST, yung DOST NST Awards, Outstanding Young Scientist to Batman. Ako yun, no? So yeah, it started from there, and then somehow pumalat na rin through several media platforms. And then it really gained some traction at the start of this year because of mga several media exposures, because of, we were studying coronaviruses in bats, so studying several viruses in bats. So ayun, from Batman to virus hunters, so tinawag na kami ganun na Yeah, so it's great. It's great.
Pero hindi lamang pala paniki ang pinag-aaralan ni Professor Phillip. Bilang zoologist, ay pinag-aaralan din niya ang iba pang uri ng mammals, gaya ng mga daga.
Hindi lang naman din bats yung inaaral ko, pati other mammals like mga rodents, mga daga, mga talagang kinakatakutan ng mga tao. So we've been describing new species na hindi pa nakikita ng mga eksperto, hindi pa nakikita ng ibang tao, hindi alam ng ibang tao. So we've described close to 15 or 17 new species ng mga rodents here in the Philippines na we didn't know they existed before.
Bukod sa pag-aaral sa mga paniki at iba pang hayop, ang isa pang ipinagmamalaki ni Professor Phillip ay nang mapabilang siya sa isang proyekto na gumawa ng biodiversity monitoring system.
So I've been involved with several projects and several institutions that were doing research. I was very, very fortunate enough to be included in these groups. So one of my first jobs back then was isang conservation group that was parang hired din ng DNR. So we're tasked to develop a monitoring system of biodiversity. So yung mga puno, mga hayop, sa mga protected areas dito sa Pilipinas. So there were about, mga sites na mga 25 or 30 protected areas. So tinuturuan namin ng monitoring ng mga methods yung mga tao doon sa protected area. So mga protected area na ito, kalimutan mga bundok, and then yung mga tao, yung mga nakatira mismo sa mga gubat. So we're teaching them how to monitor their resources, their biological diversity, and our results would actually show na yung pagmamonitor na supposed to be scientific and were done only by scientists can also be done by your common people that are living side by side with the forest. Kasi they have this, it seems that it turned out that they have this really intimate knowledge of their biological diversity sa kanilang backyard. And they know intuitively na alam nila kung bumababa o tumataas yung kanilang biodiversity or nababawasan yung biodiversity there. So from there, yung aming ginawa na parang community-based monitoring, this was copied worldwide actually. So very simple, cost-effective, and local people can do that. So I think that for me, in a conservation in a conservation point of view, that would be my biggest accomplishment to be part of that.
Sa kasalukuyan, si Sir Phillip Alviola ay isang propesor sa Institute of Biological Sciences sa University of the Philippines, Los Baños at curator for small mammals and other wildlife sa UPLB Museum of Natural History. Pinagsasabay niya ang kanyang pananaliksik at pag-aaral ng PhD sa Forest Biological Sciences.
So Professor, ano lang mensahe ninyo para sa mga kabataan na nangangarap din maging scientist?
Of course, you have to be mindful of anything that you're doing. And of course, mind your deadlines. As soon as pag tumuntong ka na ng college, and then of course, when you're into the professional world, your world is going to be filled up with deadlines. So, I think yun ang nakita ko parang nangyayari sa buhay ko. Lagi na may deadline this to. So, mind your deadlines para in the end, you're gonna be labeled as reliable. As soon as people will think of you as unreliable, medyo mahirap na yan. You're not dependable. So, it all boils down to your work ethic and how, gaano ka kagaling sa paggawa ng iyong trabaho. So, yeah, mindful of your deadlines and be reliable. Yun lang po ang
Alright, sir. Thank you.
Okay po. Maraming salamat din po.
Mga ka-DOST Barkada, maraming salamat sa inyong patuloy na pagtutok. Hanggang sa susunod na Miyerkules, alas 5 ng hapon, sabay-sabay nating kilalanin ang mga Pinoy scientists at ma-inspire sa kanilang kwento ng pananaliksik at pagtuklas ng mga bagong kaalaman para sa bawat Pilipino. Ako po si Jel Miranda at ito ang ExperTalk Online.